The Crown ended its arguments today in the trial of the Coutts Three, and the defense teams opted against inviting any witnesses or introducing any further evidence. Robert Krejcik here in Lethbridge, Alberta, reporting for Rebel News.
They needed somebody there that they can, I guess, liaison between and bring what their message was to the group without getting interfering, because there was a lot of people there that maybe had not the same stance as we had with the RCMP, that they weren't our enemy, right? That wasn't who we were fighting. We were fighting a bigger picture than that. We were fighting the mandates, the tyrannical government that was in place. And I feel that, you know with what their testimony was, showed that they needed somebody and wanted somebody in there to be able to liaison between the two sides.
The three defendants, the Coutts Three, Marco Van Hugenbos, George Jansen, and Alex Van Herk, are being accused of having committed mischief over $5,000 for their participation, their roles in the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade, which was a demonstration that at times obstructed traffic across the U.S.-Canada border at the Coutts Sweetgrass border crossing. This demonstration occurred at the same time as the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, Ontario, and the two demonstrations shared an ideological goal of opposition to all of these governmentally issued decrees, orders, mandates, ostensibly in pursuit of public health to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. And the two demonstrations shared an ethos of peaceable assembly, peaceful protest, and also participated in civil disobedience. When the trial resumes on Monday, the two parties, the Crown and the defense teams, will negotiate in front of the judge and dispute over how instructions to the jury should be presented when the jury returns on Tuesday to be advised on how it must proceed when it begins its deliberations to determine a verdict. We're running two fundraising campaigns in relation to this trial. The first is to help fund the defense costs for the defendants. You can contribute at Coutts3.com. And if you make a donation, you'll be issued a charitable receipt, because this fundraiser is being administered by a nonprofit organization that we work with, the Democracy Fund, that is committed to protecting your Canadian constitutional rights and freedoms. Secondarily, we're running a fundraiser to help offset our operational costs at Rebel News in producing this in-the-field original journalism. Namely, that's about getting me out here from Ottawa, airfare, rental car, Airbnb. And if you folks value this journalism and want to help us continue producing it, please do so and donate and visit truckertrials.com. I'm here with Alex Van Herk, one of the defendants in the Coutts Three trial. Alex, maybe you want to share some remarks with us as we're sort of approaching the close. At least the Crown ended its arguments. The defense teams opted not to introduce more evidence or invite witnesses. What's your overall impression of your defense attorney, Michael Johnston, and the other attorneys that you saw?
So my from what I saw the last 2 weeks, from what the Crown has presented, they don't have a whole lot of evidence stating, to the leadership group of the whole Coutts protest. There was no leadership of it. There was a whole large group of people that showed up that were protesting these illegal mandates that were being imposed on us, our tyrannical government, the way they are going. And they try to point that there was leadership there from I guess, our characters of who we are, and as a business owner, as a father of 7, that a natural character of taking control of situations so they don't get out of control.
You're also a grandfather.
And I'm also a grandfather of 9. So that's a natural thing that we have, whether it's Marco, George is also a father of 8. So we have these natural tendencies to look at a situation, okay, there's a large group of people here, and we need to, before it gets chaotic, let's get some control of it and try to get some structure in there as to how to deal with this, with keeping it peaceful, with not getting any outside junctures of things that were coming in. There was a lot of people that continued to come into there that were persuading things in different stances of how they wanted to do this, and we were always about peaceful and keeping this peaceful and as lawfully as we could. And so what the Crown presented this week was, I feel, was weak, and I felt our defense counsel did a phenomenal job on defending what they did bring forward, because they took captions of I guess, evidence of videos, and they isolated them captions to use for their statements. But our defense was able to show that in a different context as to the truth behind that all, and I felt they did a great job on that respect.
Just one note for the audience on something Alex was saying. I just want to add some specific details. 2 RCMP officers, Mark Wilgosh and Greg Tulloch, testified to the utility provided by Marco and George in helping the police officers maintain sort of peaceable assembly and move vehicles. So as Alex was saying, as a father, grandfather, he sort of wants to make sure to mitigate harm, to make sure things go smoothly. You had RCMP officers invited as Crown witnesses testifying to that very fact in terms of the defendant's conduct in the context of this protest. Now, Alex, anything else you want to add to the audience, or just let us know?
No, absolutely. And there again, every time the RCMP were calling upon somebody to if there was an incident or anything that happened, the RCMP were calling upon somebody to say, hey, we had this happen. Can you guys help us out with this? Like, get control of the situation. So they wanted somebody in place there that they could talk to. There was a liaison between the whole group and the RCMP. The RCMP, I think to some degree, agreed with what was happening there, but they couldn't take a face of it. And so they actually testified that what we were doing was the right thing to do. Right. But they needed somebody there that they can, I guess, liaison between and bring what their message was to the group without getting interfering, because there was a lot of people there that maybe had not the same stance as we had with the RCMP, that they weren't our enemy. Right? That wasn't who we were fighting. We were fighting a bigger picture than that. We were fighting the mandates, the tyrannical government that was in place. And I feel that, with what their testimony was, showed that they needed somebody and wanted somebody in there to be able to liaison between the two sides.
Yeah, also, just one more point on what Alex was saying. The 2 RCMP officers, Wilgosh and Tulloch, testified that there were varying factions within the protest, composing the protest, as Alex was saying, having disagreement between themselves. Now, anything else?
Well, 100%. There was definitely disagreements between the whole group, right? It continued throughout the whole time. There was a blockade in Milk River that the police created, that there was incidents happening there that they even asked us to help in and liaisoning in between. So, yeah, nothing more to. I felt that our defense counsel did a great job on defending what evidence that the Crown had presented, and we're going to leave it up to the jury to decide.
Want to mention the phenomenal team we have. Defense has done a great job. They've been able to establish a lot of, in my mind, innocence in relation to the charges ahead of us. Just none of this could have been done without the support of the Democracy Fund, without the support of Rebel News, without the support of Ezra Levant team. If you haven't already done, please visit Coutts3.ca. Thank you.
So I just want to thank everybody for supporting us in court. We're not done yet. Looks like Monday it continues. The judge will be giving his charge on Tuesday. And then hopefully the jury has compassion on us and to some degree see our innocence as to why we went there. The purpose of the whole the Coutts protest, it's bigger than just the cause of mischief. And I hope people understand that why we had went, what was happening in our country, in our province at that time, and to keep continuing to support them kind of movements and fight against that evil, tyrannical government that's still there and continue fighting.
George, anything you want to add?
Yeah, thank you very much for all of your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. I wish you God's blessing as we carry on as well.